Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, the show where you come for your rambling, geeky download. My name's Tommy, and I am delighted, as always, to be joined by my friend and co-host from across the pond. It's our resident infection of the pod, DL.
That's the most offensive thing you've ever said to me. I'm an infection now.
What do you mean?
I'm an infection?
Infected.
Oh, infected. I thought you said I was an infection.
Well, I mean, you are a little bit
some kind of an STI or something? What have you... Don't put that on me, Ricky Bobby.
Dude, they're all topical to what we're talking about all the way through the podcast.
Of course, but like I don't want to be a fungal infection. It's not my goal. That's not what I wake up to be.
Do you know a band called The Darkness by any chance?
The Darkness.
I think we've talked about The Darkness a few times, just randomly, and they have a song called Growing on Me. And the point of the song is, it sounds like he's talking about like this girl, he's really into her, or he wasn't into her to begin with, but she's grown on him and etc. It's actually about an STI. It's actually about genital warts.
That is repulsive. But I'll leave it at that.
It's such a catchy song.
What's the give me the chorus?
I can't remember that. I'm not going to sing it.
Growing
Matt,
on me.
Put a little clip in here, Matt. You'll like it, DL.
Give me the clip of Growing on Me. Cue.
How are you, mate? How are you? What's been happening?
Oh, dude, been a busy week. Lots of stuff going on.
You saw some live music the other day.
I did a lot of this whole week.
Music.
I did Palm Tree Festive.
Ooh.
It was a festival. It's not really a festival. It was just a big concert.
Nice.
There's one stage. I feel like a festival implies multiple stages.
Yeah, over here I think it's different. They just do what they want.
Yeah, I guess so. Anyway, it didn't seem like a festival to me. But I saw some DJs. That was,
And in particular, anyone stand out?
They all blend together. But Kygo was all right. Lost Frequencies was pretty cool. They had a couple cool songs.
Nice.
And then I saw Florence and the Machine last night, which was much better. That was a much better
Talking
show.
about Florence, did she look as much of a crack addict as she normally does?
More on the I would say the H.
Oh, wow.
The H dog.
Oh, wow.
I don't want to start any rumors. But if you did H, that's what I would think you would
look like.
Pale, sunken eyes.
Yeah.
But she's so weird in her songs.
She's got.
But then she just talks like she's kind of like this little British girl, super.
Is that what a little British girl sounds like?
I don't know. That was terrible. But she's this very posh accent.
She does, but then
she's like singing. She sounds like she's fucking yodeling. So it's like,
I love her. I think she's fantastic.
She's obviously talented. That's not I'm obviously not. I can't talk shit on that. But she's a bit of a weirdo. She calls her fans a cult. She's like, and then like literally when she's sang that song, what's it called? Sacrifice.
Yeah.
Where she literally said, "All right, who will come up on stage and be sacrificed?" Yeah.
Whoa.
And I was like, this is culty now.
That's some creepy shit
this is where I leave.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
But no, she was really good. She did not play Say My Name.
What? Why wouldn't she sing that?
Every other song that's big, she played.
Okay, right. Not like the
Strokes. She's got to leave one for them to come back.
Not like the Strokes, who just refuse to play their best song. Last night.
Yeah, that song is boring.
But it's their best one. I don't know.
I like other songs more than that.
I didn't pay money to go and see their new album. I paid money to see that shit.
She played a lot of her new album.
Did she?
But fair enough.
Her new album's good, though.
It's kind of boring. There's like 3 good songs, but...
It's a standard, typical, like, 6th album, though, isn't it? There's like 3 good songs and the rest is just kind of filler.
Agreed.
Anyway, guys, look, if you guys want to listen to us banter about our day, feel free, stick around. Otherwise, you can jump around. There will be time codes in the description. Thanks, as always, to friend of the show and editing genius, Mr. Matthew Bliss of blissery.fm. We will tell you all the details at the end of the show. Before then, though, what we like to do is talk a little bit about what we've been up to during the week. DL, what have you been up to?
Have you heard of Willow?
Yes. The movie from like 1984?
I've never seen it.
Have you not seen the movie?
I hadn't.
Go back and watch the movie.
I did.
And now you've watched the series.
That's what I'm talking about the movie.
Oh my goodness.
You just went all over the
place.
Sorry, I was already
too excited. I was like a child. I was like, oh my god.
Already there. It's actually really good.
Really good movie.
What's his name's really good at it.
Yeah, they're all really good at it. Warwick Davis is the main guy.
Who's the main guy that's also in Top Gun?
I forgot his name now.
And he's like dead.
It's not. I've got Kurt Russell in my head. It's not Kurt Russell. Go on anyway. Tell me more about it.
No, this must not rest. I must.
It's all right. I'll find it. You tell me more about the plot.
So the plot of Willow. I mean, it's kind of like your classic fantasy plot. It seems like it would have been
Val Kilmer.
Van Kilmer. Yeah.
Val.
Val. It seems like, I don't know this, but it seems like it was like a George Lucas, Steven Spielberg.
Sorry, we talked about Indiana Jones last week.
Yeah.
Do you remember the guy who gets chopped up by the big beefy Nazi guy who gets chopped up by the aeroplane
Sure.
while he's fighting Indiana Jones.
Yes,
the bald
yes,
guy.
yes.
He's in this too. Sorry.
Yeah.
Little side.
In any case, it does feel like who like wrote that? Yes, George Lucas, of course.
There you go.
I was like, it feels like a George Lucas or Steven Spielberg's era film.
Yes.
And you see,
agreed.
and mainly because the thing that cued me into this, not only the design, it's like all of that era, right? Like I'm sure it was the same guy that did Star Wars practical effects and all the other ones that they did.
Could easily have been.
Mainly what cued me into this was the one love scene, the writing. I was like, this is as bad as anything from Attack of the Clone Wars. Like this dialogue is so bad.
Wow.
You know how
Were they
he's just
talking about
notoriously bad at romantic writing?
George Lucas,
yes. And I was like, this has to be George. Like no one is this. And it was like so stylistically bad. It was so stylistically George Lucas
Interesting. So you know what's funny? So
other than that, it was great.
You know what's
Great
funny?
movie.
Last week we were talking about, I had like a bunch of movies that I grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
And there was like, I told you we had Indiana Jones and we had Star Wars. And I actually remembered a couple during the week. So we had those two. We also had Ghostbusters 2, not Ghostbusters 1, Ghostbusters 2 on VHS. Back to the Future 3, I think. And this. And Willow.
Willow's
Those were
good.
like the few movies like I had as my core. Oh, and that weird Lord of the Rings animated thing we did a few weeks ago. Those were the movies that I grew up with, literally, and they were on repeat. So it's
Well,
so
I can
interesting
understand
that
why
you've
you
watched
like Willow so much, because that was
Fucking
like the
love
only
Willow.
good one.
My brother absolutely loved this movie, but I was always really terrified at the scene when he gets turned into it, when they all get turned into pigs.
I mean, I was saying like, this isn't a kid's movie.
No, it's not at all.
There's moments where it's like freaking scary and creepy.
Totally. And the witch or whatever she is like terrifying.
She's properly creepy.
She's real
it's basically
creepy.
about a young farmer, kind of
Yeah.
like a Hobbit style
He is kinda-
farmer. He's
yeah.
like a small person. A young farmer is chosen to undertake a perilous journey in order to protect a special baby from an evil queen. So it's that classic,
Standard fare.
fantasy.
Yep.
This guy, count him out. No one respects him.
God,
He's the only
like
one
you like
doing
this.
the right thing. Right? So
hang on a
now
sec.
I'm going to watch the show.
Yeah, great. Because it's the show I want to watch. I wanted to go back and rewatch this before the show, but now you're going to watch the show. I might just jump in with you. It's got a 7.2 on IMDb. So for a movie from like what 1988, it's pretty good.
Is it 88?
Yeah, it is.
It did look newer than other 80s movies.
I think it looks good. It holds up,
Yeah,
right?
it does. It looks more like a 90s movie, to be fair.
It really does. It's got outside of Val Kilmer and Warwick Davis, and old mate Pat Roach, who we love from Indiana Jones, I don't know many of these actors. It's got Tony Cox in it, who's fairly well known, I suppose. Other than that, like I don't really know anyone in it, but really good. I'm glad you liked it.
I did. So that's what I did. Anything from you?
Yeah, I got a
friend?
couple. Mine are a little bit wishy-washy, to be honest. There's one thing I want to talk about at the end, but I played a lot more of Hogwarts Legacy this week.
Nice.
I've decided I think the plot really sucks.
So I've heard that as well. It's not sucks, it's just weak.
Yeah, the plot to the game is effectively making you get new spells to this point, and there's like a bit of a plot about you being like some sort of chosen you one type thing going on too.
But there's
It's
no
not
explanation of why, apparently.
Super compelling. No.
Yeah.
But like the exploration is awesome. It's so big. There's so much to do. I've got a broom, so I just like hop on that and fizz around.
Yeah.
So like would I recommend it to a friend? If you really, really like Harry Potter.
Really,
yes.
I haven't played it yet, so you're not making me excited. I
Like,
might play
do
already.
you really like Harry Potter?
I do.
Well, then yeah, play it.
But it bugs me when stories are bad. Especially when they could be good.
Well, I think I'm only still like 30% of the way through, so it could get a lot better. Like, and I haven't got anywhere near getting the unforgivable curses yet. So
You can
I'm
get
excited
those?
Yeah, totally.
That's cooked.
Check it out. Check it out on Lines. Anything else you've been up to?
What else have I been doing? I did watch a bit of Next in Fashion with
Ooh,
Gail.
I
That
don't know what that
reality.
is.
Have you heard of this reality
No,
show?
talk to me.
On Netflix. It's a reoccurring. Netflix. They do seem to do well.
They've got a
with
lot.
with the old like
reality
TV
Yeah.
show, Too Hot to Handle,
Totally.
that style thing. They just pump those out.
But it's so cheap to make, surely. Like,
yeah,
you do shots of Hollywood Boulevard. You then put them in a shop and they talk for 2 minutes. There's a bit of drama, and then they go back to shots of Hollywood Boulevard before going to someone else.
Yeah,
Simple.
it's very
So
easy,
cheap.
cost effective.
Yeah, totally.
And
My partner bloody loves that crap.
well, this one is not as. It's more like almost like. Do you remember Chopped?
Yeah.
Like that cooking show,
Yeah,
or it's like
yeah,
a
yeah.
company. It's more like that. So it's like It's less like, a bunch of like really dumb but fake hot people talking, or you feel like I shouldn't be using this with my time. I shouldn't be watching this. I'm like, at least these people are like artistically good at their they're basically fashion designers. It's a bunch of challenges and they have to team up and it's a game. Anyway, I quite enjoyed it. But there was this there's a I guess I don't want to mess this up. There's a guy that is trans on the show.
Okay.
So transition to become a male.
Okay.
It's insane. You'd never have guessed. It's crazy.
Wow.
It's like it's really, really like wild. And he's really good designer.
Good for him.
It's great for him, but it was like shocking. Like I went through the whole show. I was like, man, this guy's a great designer. He understands men's clothes so well. And I'm like, at the end, they're like, oh yeah, he's trans. And it was like kind of like a drop the mic moment. Like no one knew about it.
Oh, so no one in the show knew?
Well, the viewers didn't know about it till a certain episode where he like kind of just says it in an interview, and you're just like,
and you're blindsided by it.
Yeah,
wow,
like,
all right, that's interesting.
Anyway, but it's a really good show. I think his name's James Ford.
Good for him, man.
For sure.
My second
he's a really good designer as well.
He's way different. We talked last week about morbid curiosities for TV shows and such. I saw a thing on Netflix that flashed up totally in the wheelhouse of the mindset I was in at the time, called the Texas Killing Fields. And I find this fascinating. And I always think this about the US, because the US is massive, right? Like huge. Like, and a lot of it is just like untouched, or was at least up until the last like 15 years, 20 years. And in the 80s and 90s, there was this plot of land in Texas which sort of led on to a bunch of industrial estates and such, which did have some towns around it. But of course, because of the industrial estates, had a lot of drifters and a lot of people coming in for work, etc. And they started just finding bodies on this one plot of land. And over the space of like 20 years, within like 20-meter radius, they found like 30 bodies.
In Texas.
Maybe that's exaggerating. I've not got all the way through this yet, but they keep finding more and frigging more in this one little area, and I'm like, how on
what's
earth?
The plot?
It's like a docuseries.
But like, are there any hypothesis on why these bodies exist?
That's the point. Nobody.
So, but like, what does it start with? We found the bodies.
Well, that's it. It's like it starts with like a dad who's like, my daughter went missing. The police told me she was just a runaway. Like, and I was convinced that because she had this like heart medication or whatever she needed to take. He's like, I was convinced that, she wouldn't run away just because if she didn't have the medication, she would literally die. So he was like pressing the police, and they were saying, oh, she's just a runaway, etc., etc. And then they never found her. And then it turns out like 10 years later, when they found one body, then another body, then another body, then another body in this small space, she's one of these bodies. So it's his story trying to get the word out and trying to push the police to actually just search this one area.
Is it on Netflix?
It is Netflix, yeah, and it's quite compelling. It's so interesting. I just find that really interesting that Texas Killing Fields.
Oh god!
And I find it so compelling that in the States, up until recently,
it's grim.
When there wasn't CCTV and stuff, this could have been so prevalent. Just like,
I mean, it's not even just CCTV. It's also just like they didn't talk.
No,
the different police departments didn't talk. The
totally,
bureaus
that's one
didn't
of the points,
share data.
Yeah. That's one of the points. So they didn't share anything, and there was like, I think it says within this really small acreage, there's like 11 police departments, and none of them spoke to each other.
Yeah,
and it's so interesting. I find it fascinating.
I mean, that's
fascinating and terrifying.
One. We also watched the end of that the Murdaugh.
Yeah. How did that go?
Look, I mean, that family likes to murder.
Pretty fucked up, yeah.
And they're true to their name. The Murdahs. The South Carolina Murdahs. It's quite interesting. I mean, it's just kind of amazing that like people like in smaller town, like you get away with this stuff.
Crazy. Absolutely.
I mean, I'm sure you get away with it in big cities too. I mean, you look at Epstein and shit.
Totally.
But I just mean like this is like so absurdly obvious.
Really? Well, because they're rich, right? And they kind of own.
They just owned like both sides of the law. They had people in the district attorney and they had like everyone bought and paid for kind of thing. They're all
That's
mates.
crazy.
Yeah.
I always think that about Australia, right? Because it's just a big section down the middle where there's just nothing there. It's too hot to live. So I'm like,
I'm sure shit like that happens there
all the time.
Yeah,
like all the time. If you look at any missing persons
some good
report,
stories, like
totally,
like some good detective stories,
totally.
Right there.
Look, we got a way off topic here. What's your last one? What's your final thing?
My last one. I don't know if I have anything. I watched a lot of Next in Fashion. Good old James Martin was killing it, although he got kicked off.
Oh, damn.
And that's the last episode I saw. There's apparently Gail watched the season finale without me, which I was kind of okay with. I was kind of okay with. I was kind of tuning in and out. It's a reality show.
Yeah, to be fair, I do that. I'll sit with Kat.
Really, what I was doing much. I played a lot of RE2 this week. I'm very excited for tomorrow for RE4, but
Isn't there a demo coming out? Or is this for the one that's coming out tomorrow? Because apparently there's like a secret uber hard mode in the demo that you have to find.
I don't need uber hard modes.
Oh, come on, man.
I actually usually play on hardcore, but this one I'm too scared. I'm doing it on normal. This game is already hard enough.
Fair enough.
If I remember correctly.
Well, my last one then is I watched, and thank you to friend of the show, Mr. Matthew Bliss, our editing genius, who fired me over this. I'd actually completely forgotten this was coming out, even though we talked about it like 2 weeks ago. The Luther movie, it's dropped on Netflix. So we've talked about Luther a bunch of times. It's like a police procedural from the UK. He is this gruff, tiptoeing across the line detective. It's Idris Elba, the legend that is. And the movie, I would highly recommend.
You love it, but I feel like I need to watch the show, and I haven't finished the show.
It's in the vein of, you don't have to watch the show to watch this. As in, it's a separate it is its own thing, right? It's its own dream.
But it's probably benefited,
I would say, by understanding the character and knowing...
I do know who he is. He's kind of like, he can't let his job go. He's
correct. And there's only one
classic
other
detective
character from the original series in it, which is his boss, who isn't really his boss anymore. So he's a very compelling character.
Could Gail watch it and not be confused?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. All you need to know is that he's a rough, gruff detective who...
Rough and gruff.
Will do anything to get
the justice served.
And I'm not spoiling anything here, but...
He does anything.
No. If they wanted to use this as an audition for James Bond, could easily do that.
I just think it's too late for that, isn't it?
I do too. I completely agree. But like the way it ends, I was like, oh yeah, that could be his audition pretty easily. Pretty good. It's good. I like it. I love Idris Elba. Great actor. Great set of characters. Really compelling writing.
Mediocre DJ.
Terrible. Really bad DJ. I hate to say it, but I do not. I don't like any of his stuff.
I've never heard a set.
Have you not?
No. I'd go see him though.
Would you? I think I'd go see him just to say I've seen it.
Yeah, why not?
But I wouldn't want to pay for it.
You're going to have to pay. I mean, it's part of the
You
game.
buy tickets and I'll come with you. How does that sound?
Sure.
Shall we move on, DL?
We shall.
Beautiful. What we do now is we talk a little bit about Have You Heard, which is a few bits of news from our Geeky Spheres we've heard during the week and things we like the sound of.
What have the little birdies told you? What have you heard?
What have you heard, DL?
What have you your ears to the street, So I like to hear what you've heard, man.
I like to talk a little bit about, things that we both enjoy. And sometimes even you bring a bit of news, which changes my life. It rocks my world, baby.
John Wick, Chapter 4, got a 10 out of 10 from IGN.
Did you
read
like
about that? I need to watch this thing now.
Same.
Anything that gets a 10 out of 10, I guess I got to give it a chance.
People are saying it's the best action movie, like, ever.
But dude, what could be different about it?
I just don't know. That's why I'm so intrigued.
I watched the first one. I was like, I can't imagine they could make 3 more of these, and they did.
I like the first and the second one. The third one was a bit far. Like, he falls off a building at one point and he survives. I'm like, come on, dude. Like,
you're not Neo, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty cool though. I'm excited to see that film. We should talk about it.
That is cool. I'm down to watch the first one again. I got halfway through.
You should do 1 and then 4. Just jump straight in.
Maybe. And then I also did see, Tommy, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know how to say this. So as long as we are both in agreement that you will correct me.
Well, let's look up whatever you're going to say. What are you about to say?
Kiwi? Why does it sound like I'm saying kiwi? Kiwi steals the show at the Oscars with a Best Supporting Actor performance and perhaps the best speech of all time.
So you're talking about Short Round. Is that what we're talking about here? We're talking about the Oscars, guys, by the way, in case you weren't sure.
The Oscars, everything, everywhere, all at once.
By the way, swept the floor.
Yeah, they killed it, actually.
They got best supporting actor, best supporting actress. They got best female lead. They got best director.
And best picture.
Because it was Dan's. And best picture. My favorite of 2022... Edit the tape.
I think we did pick this.
We chose goddamn Top Gun Maverick.
We did,
and you talked me into it.
See, now he's trying to lie.
And now I'm fuming.
Now he's trying to lie. Because I literally
go back. We
already knew, yo. I wrote that because I thought we did pick it. I'm gonna have to go between Everything Everywhere All at Once.
You gotta pick one. Gotta pick one.
And I'm gonna say,
drum roll, please.
Top Gun Maverick.
Oh my days!
Yeah, we didn't pick it.
It was. I'm so happy that film won.
Top Gun Maverick was never going to win.
No, I think it was more. I think we'd seen it recently.
No, but they did not. It got nominated.
Top Gun didn't get nominated.
Yeah, it was for Best Picture.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn. All right. Who was the bad guy in that? unspecified nation.
I think, well, we can now say probably Russia.
Dude, we could say anyone. China. You choose. It could
Probably
be anyone.
Russia.
Probably
Next year, China.
Who knows?
That's how out of touch
Who
the US
knows?
government is.
My favorite thing about that film is that the final scene going down the crevice thing to blow up the base was like so generic, and apparently they picked literal coordinates that are right in the middle of one of the oceans, so nobody could claim, oh, it's closest to me. It's like the butt end of nowhere. It's crazy.
Actually really funny.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the reality is we may see World War III in our lifetime, and I hope we don't. But
wow, don't go there, Jill.
It's
Let's
dark.
be happy about the Oscars.
It's dark out there. They don't need to pick one. We might get all of them.
Oh wow, all right.
You know?
Look, I'm really happy this won a lot of things. It deserves it because it was such a shoestring budget and it was such a phenomenal movie. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
Did you hear this week, DL? Apparently, there's Star Wars news. Do you like Star Wars news? You love it when I bring Star Wars news.
If it's another prequel, I can't.
It's not. It's pretty sad news, though. So there was a couple of projects in work, one from Kevin Feige and one from Patty Jenkins, who you'll remember as the Wonder Woman director.
What is the time?
Apparently, those projects are no longer in development with Disney.
Well, Kevin Feige was probably like, I cancel this. I got to focus.
He was like, I really got to sort this MCU shit out, guys. But Patty Jenkins, obviously Wonder Woman isn't in the works anymore, so I'm told.
Did she do 84 as well?
She did 84.
Yeah, I don't care.
She was signed on for the third one too, but no longer. So, but the silver lining here, DL, and you'll love this, is that Taika Waititi is apparently still moving forward.
With what?
Shocked.
With his Disney thing?
Star Wars movie.
Oh, yeah, the Disney movie.
His Star Wars
movie, I mean. Cool.
I don't care.
Is it a prequel?
Who knows? It's probably set in that time between the end of Return of the Jedi and everything else. You know, the time frame that everything's set in.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you will like this one, DL. Did you hear this week that Starfield, which is Bethesda's upcoming space epic, has finally got a release date? Now, you know Bethesda from the likes of Fallout, The Elder Scrolls, etc., etc.
It's delayed, isn't it?
No, it's apparently coming out on the 6th of September. So, I mean, it's probably going to be an Xbox exclusive. Aren't they owned by Xbox now?
Now it is,
Bethesda? Yeah. So,
well, it's PC and Xbox.
Okay, right. Well, I mean, I don't play PC, so sucks to be us.
I have Xbox old generation.
The old one?
No way it'll work.
You could buy this. Give it a go. It'll be massive, though.
It'll probably destroy it.
Yeah, probably. That'd be quite fun to watch, to be fair. Get the Red Ring of Death back. Bring that shit back.
Yeah, I just don't think I'm going to have enough time to play this one.
You said about a lot of things, and you're going back and playing old Resident Evil games, so I feel like you're lying to me.
Those are quick.
Are they?
Yeah, they're quick play.
How
this
long
is
are we
not going to
talking?
take over your life. I've literally beat it in like 2 hours once.
Jeez, really?
Yeah, speed runs.
You're a speedrunner now.
I needed to unlock the new outfit or something. I forget what I was doing.
Have you seen the speedruns for like Elden Ring, where they do like they do like phasing through walls and shit? So they do like a certain like movement pattern, and it phases them to a certain part of the map. It's nuts.
That's just so hacky.
It's crazy to watch. It's
I just
unreal.
don't shoot any of the zombies. I like shoot them and go around them
and then run away.
Yeah, which is what you should do. Why are you trying to kill them all? Just get out of there, bro.
Yeah, totally. I wouldn't want to. Why would you need to? Let them kill each other. What else you heard this week, DL?
Brendan Fraser. He's back, baby. I'm
Love
just giving
that
you
guy.
Oscar news because that's all I got. Won Best Picture for The Whale.
Would you win the best leading actor?
Yeah, leading actor.
I haven't seen it yet. Have you seen it?
The aptly named film, judging by the screens I've seen.
Yes, I've only seen images.
Surely that's makeup.
Yeah, completely.
Okay, I hope he didn't
put on that much weight.
You never know. Look at Christian Bale. The guy's insane.
Not that much weight though. Could you imagine
lost that much weight?
The amount he would the amount of damage he'd do to his body.
Yeah. The guy really wants to get cast again. It's been a while.
He just needs Chris Nolan to make a movie where it has to be like whale size.
Yeah,
anyway. And he'll be sold. He's down.
Good for him.
I'm excited. Do you just care about the Oscars?
The Jungle's back.
Do you care about the Oscars at all?
Do I watch them? No, but I think it's interesting to see what gets nominated. Yes.
I think it's interesting to see how out of touch the guys who nominate things usually are, but this year they seem to be like pretty good.
I think for the most part, like you understand what it's not like. It's typically a certain type of movie that's going to get an Oscar nom, and as long as you know that, you know.
Well, this wasn't your typical,
but it was not. They had Maverick and Everything Everywhere All at Once. I mean, that's pretty crazy.
I mean, I feel like they've got to do that a little bit just for some more appeal, right? Like
maybe that's what they're doing. They're like, we can't have Will Smith slapping people, so we've got to change our strategy. That can't be an every year thing. So
I'm just going to run through these super quick. Best Picture, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Best Actress for a Leading Role was Michelle Yeoh for the same film. Best actor leading role was Brendan Fraser for The Whale. Best visual effects was your favorite movie, Avatar: The Way of Water, which you've still not seen.
Nope.
Best costume design was Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Best animated feature was that Pinocchio film by Guillermo del Toro that no one's seen.
Did you watch that?
No one's seen it.
Yeah.
How did they see it?
I mean, I'm sure it's good.
It's 3 Pinocchio movies came up last year.
Yeah,
3.
too many.
Too many. This would be the one I'd watch. Guillermo's my boy.
Yeah.
If I was bothered to watch a Pinocchio movie, which I'm not.
I'm a real boy.
Best actress in a supporting role, we said Jamie Lee Curtis for Everything Everywhere, and then Ki Hugh Kwan for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Again, supporting actor. And they are the top ones.
Yes.
Oscar season, baby.
Oscar season.
We're sitting here in our tuxes right now, if you guys can't tell from our...
Yeah.
Did you see the interview with Hugh Grant?
Tux.
Did you see the interview with Hugh Grant?
No, what did he pretend to be, Wolverine or something?
No, he just did not give a shit. The woman was like, honestly, it's awkward at points. The lady who's interviewing him was like, what are you wearing? I love your suit. And he's like, I don't know, like my suit. And she's like, oh yeah, but who made it? He's like, my tailor. And she literally like blanking everything. And she's like, well, I love Glass Onion. Did you have a good time doing Glass Onion? And he's like, yeah, we kind of came in and out. Like I was there for 3 seconds.
Glass Onion. When was he in the movie?
Exactly. He was there for like 2 seconds. He's Benoit Blanc's partner, and he's like he opens the door to like the delivery at the very beginning. That's it. And he's like he totally he totally shut that interview down. It was like
I wonder if it's like he had a bad experience with this woman. You see a lot of that.
Maybe.
Yeah, you know.
Maybe she threw him under the bus.
There was something else with like some black journalist and what's his name? She's a black woman and Michael B. Jordan.
Okay.
And she like went to school with him. I'm forgetting her name, but she went to school with him or something. And she called him cheesy in a podcast, or one of her friends did. And he heard that, and then goes and just like basically confronts her in the middle of an Oscar interview, and was like, yeah, like you could tell like when he's walking up his face, like I'm ready. I'm about to bully this girl. Like it was like rude, but then she handled it well.
The shit out of you.
Yeah, I forget her name. She's a very famous black journalist. I don't remember her name though.
Well, final bit of news then before we move on, DL. Did you hear this week that it is reported that the upcoming game, Suicide Kills the Justice League, it's been delayed again. So apparently it just doesn't look good. Like, as in, it's like gameplay from like 2016, full of loot boxes. It needs to be always on, like the internet.
What is this?
The Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. It's you remember that Gotham Knights game where you're 4 of the different guys? So it's like Robin and yeah. It's similar, except it's like Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang. It's got King Shark in there.
You're gonna buy it, right?
No, absolutely not. This sounds shite. I refuse to play this.
$2 at GameStop, right?
Yes, exactly.
In like a month after release.
Yeah, totally. Bargain bin. Look, guys, if you've heard anything that you want to share with us, any news that we've missed that you think we should be talking about, hit us up at Podcast Assemble on Instagram or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. We love it when you do. We love it when you send us memes. DL, do you want to preface our main topic this week?
This week, I think Tommy already ruined it like 5 times because he kept talking about how he wants to do it, but and how we couldn't talk about it. So now we have to talk about like 9 episodes of phenomenal television in 1 hour.
Oh no!
So I don't know how we're gonna do that. But the Last of Us season finale happened yesterday or 2 days ago.
Yeah, this weekend,
and it was it was pretty good.
Pretty good.
So we're gonna talk through this. I don't really know how we're gonna do. I guess we're gonna just kind of
let's do non-spoilers and spoilers, and then save some of the big things for the end.
Of course. But
before we get into it, though, DL, do you want to give me a stupid plot summary?
The road if it had a fungal infection.
Are you doing your same one from the last time we did this?
Did I do that?
Yeah.
Is that really what it is?
Because I've got my same one from the last time we did this as well.
Was that what I said?
I'm pretty sure that's like...
The road, it's true.
I'm pretty sure that's what you said.
I mean, it feels that way.
We did the video game.
It itches that way,
when
for
this
sure.
was announced as a TV show, we did the video game. So I did mine. I was good. Shaun of the Dad. A father-daughter road trip of self-discovery across the US.
I don't think I did that. Because I literally made this up.
Like
if I did, then I'm just like... My subconscious is stronger.
Yeah, exactly. You're on like a repeating pattern.
Yeah.
You're on autopilot at this point.
How do I search?
Well, while you're searching, do you want to guess me the IMDb score for this DL?
It is... I did see this one, or at least I saw an episode that was 9, so I'm just going to imagine it's like 8, 9.
It's 9.1.
Wow.
Yeah. Smash. I think one of the episodes was like a flat 10.
I mean...
Maybe episode 3. People
are high on episode 3.
Yeah, I mean,
good episode.
It's phenomenal. While we're there, then, do you want to guess me the Rotten Tomatoes score? Hang on one sec.
I would say Rotten Tomatoes would probably be a 98.
Oof, 96. So close. So close. And finally, then, for me, the one which throws us every time, the Metacritic score.
85.
Whoa, you're so close. So close. It's 86.
Oh, wow. High for...
Sorry, 84.
High from...
Did you say 84?
I said 85.
Oh my god, it's
right
84.
in the middle.
I went the wrong direction. I flicked off for like 1 second.
I cannot find our old... I'm trying to find it, but I think I've lost it. I don't know.
Honestly, it was
we'll never know.
episode 22 or something. It's so long ago. Matt, rewind the tapes.
Okay. Juneau and Big Texas take a road trip from hell across the United States featuring freaky fungi and some hungry hippos that would put Army Hammer to shame. Final destination, lots of anxiety. Because I was anxious playing this game.
If you can be bothered. All right, let's talk about this then. So this is a huge cast. It has some phenomenal... I think this is cast perfectly, but not just big name stars, right? They've gone for like the right castings everywhere. So this has obviously got Pedro Pascal as Joel. It's got Bella Ramsey as Ellie. It's got Anna Trov, who comes in as Tess. A bunch of really cool people who
R.I.P.
are either linked to the game or have got some connection with it, which I absolutely love. We'll talk about it in a little bit. A few of the actors came back. We'll come back for this in trivia.
I think I'm going to nail that one.
I think you might. So why don't we talk then a little bit about the top level plot? What's going on here, DL?
Well,
we're no good at this, by the way, so it's going to be fun.
I don't know. This one I've played a couple times. I've watched now a couple times.
Nice.
Hopefully I can do it. A mass infection of the population, the world's population, through the grain supply by a mutated contracept virus, or contracept fungus, I should say, causes a global pandemic.
Not a contraceptive fungus. That'd be
contraceptive,
weird.
What would that look like?
I don't want to think about that. You know what I've got in my head now? You know, in
cordyceps virus.
Cordyceps, yeah. What did you actually say?
I did say cordyceps, I think. Run the tape!
Rewind that tape back.
The tape! By a mutated contracept virus. Cordyceps fungus causes a global pandemic, an apocalyptic event whereby infected essentially become fungus spreading zombies. 20 years later, we follow the life of Joel, a survivor from the old world who's lost his daughter in the chaos, and Ellie, a child who's only ever lived in this terrible, terrible world with a unique immunity to the infection, as they travel across an apocalyptic American countryside in their search for a use for her immunity.
Yeah. I thought you should say a use for her.
She was pretty useless.
She's so fucking useless.
Half the episode, she's quite useless. She's very plucky. She's very sassy. Not a lot of use. In fact, lots of risk behavior with this yelling she does.
Big risk
Many
behavior.
times in the first 4 episodes, I am like, can you just shut the fuck up?
Yeah.
Like, not everyone's immune here. Will you fuck off?
Yeah, shush. And we'll talk about this in a minute. The thing I really find interesting about this, and it's actually called out at one point in the show, she's immune to being bitten, right? But she's not immune to being ripped apart by all the zombies.
But she doesn't realize that?
She's too plucky in this scenario. I'd be like, dude, shut the fuck up. You know?
Yeah, Joel's pretty calm about it. He's like, can you shut up?
Yeah.
He's like very, and I'd be like, literally fucking go die. Literally go over there and die.
Stop it.
Like, immunity doesn't matter if we're all dead. So anyway.
Totally.
Carry
Absolutely.
on. So that's the plot.
Dude,
I guess
this is so phenomenal TV wise. I've made 2 YouTube videos about it already. Plug for our YouTube channel, Podcast Assemble. Go check it out. It is literally another level of TV. It's HBO, right?
I mean, it's
it had to be. We talk about this a lot. They just do.
I mean, they do
phenomenal
dramatic television very well. It's very, very good, intense dramas. I haven't even watched Succession. I've
really?
heard great things about it.
I hear that's amazing.
Yeah.
So we follow Joel, who is Pedro Pascal.
Which, by the way, I will say, initial casting, I was kind of like, look, I think he can do it. It's just not who I'd pick.
Interesting.
And I think he pulled it off really well.
Who do you pick for this?
I thought, what's his name would be freaking, God, why do I always forget his name? Thanos.
Oh, really? Yeah.
What's his name?
Thanos, that's his name.
Yeah, purple guy.
Yeah, I've forgotten it too. Now you've said
big
it.
Guy.
Get everything with guns in the air.
That guy.
Yeah, him. Yeah. Carry on.
He's also
I'll remember what you
No
told
Country for Old Men. I do think he would have been Josh Brolin. I thought he would be a great Joel, but look, Pedro's you can't talk about that anymore because of how good a job he did, I'd say.
Well, we're going to come to that at the end, actually, because in Trivia True or False, I've got some potential other castings. I'm intrigued to know your thoughts on them. So let's swing back around to that. But like, I feel like they didn't go for the star Hollywood casting that maybe they could have done for a show like this, because it's a beloved game.
Could have, but HBO never does.
Exactly, and that's why it's so perfect. And there was a lot of pushback.
Although Pedro is a pretty big star
he's
now.
He's a beautiful man. There's a lot of pushback
no one asked
when...
about his face. No one asked about his attractiveness.
I care about his attractiveness.
That was Freudian as fuck, dude.
Yeah, that wasn't a slip, mate. That was just me being me. But there was a lot of pushback when Bella Ramsey got the role. Apparently, like, a lot of people were really unhappy about it. And there's a lot of like talk from interviews where she's like, I just turned off social media because I didn't need to see it. I knew it was going on. And like, fair enough, because I myself wasn't entirely sold on it. So I said in one of the YouTube videos, like, I've seen her in Game of Thrones, and she's clearly very good at the angry side. But I hadn't seen the soft side that Ellie has in the game. She's got like a soft, caring side that, you know, it shines through at like interesting moments. And in fairness to her, it's certainly evolved through the show.
I think it took a while.
It did.
I was feeling that same way you were feeling for probably 75% of the season.
Same.
I still thought she had moments where she did a great job portraying that goofy, funny Ellie, but there was again too much like, you know, just sass for me. Like just frankly, and this may be terrible to say, but it, you know, it's honest. She's not as pretty as the game character, and I think that it's hard. Like the game character has like softer moments, and she's also got a softer features, and so the pluckiness of the game character is like mitigated by her physical characteristics, whereas Bella Ramsey just isn't that. She's more of a true tomboy, I'd say.
Totally.
She's not as like effeminate, and that kind of I think worked against her for a bit. But eventually, she got there. After the episode 8, which we'll talk about in a bit.
Look, she totally proved all of us wrong.
She
was
there,
great,
for sure. And it was all the better for maybe how long it took. Maybe.
I think I'm appropriating this from somewhere else, but I think I listened to a podcast where they were talking about it, and they were saying that it's really interesting with that character because she comes across as having a lot of the sort of teenagey angst stuff that a lot of teenagers now have, and a lot of those like anxieties and such.
With a bit of murder, stab.
Totally, with a bit of murder, stab. Yeah, just thrown in there for good measure. But as in, it's sort of like without necessarily, almost subconsciously, these things are coming out of her. And it's weird. He was saying that, like, why would she have that in a world where they've never had any of the same social pressures and social like situations that our teenagers have today? Like, it doesn't make sense for her to have this. But then
to have anxiety,
to have the same sort of anxieties that teenagers who nowadays have everything, you know, like on their phone have. Whereas in this universe, they have to worry about getting eaten every 5 minutes. But
which might drive anxiety.
Totally. Well, different type of anxiety though, surely. But interestingly, he did say, like, you know, the episode, and we'll talk about it in a bit, where you see the flashback to where she got bitten for the first time and she runs away with her friend. You're like, oh, maybe she did have some of those social anxieties. She was in a school with a bunch of other girls who were pricks to her, and her best friend, you know, she kind of liked her, she kind of didn't like her, and I find it really, really interesting that they threw that in there.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, she was in a QZ that hadn't fallen. So there's some level of social hierarchy and normalcy that I think people that were on the outside of that.
Totally.
And we haven't even explained it. But it's going to be hard for us to explain what everything is. At a high level, you're in a world, apocalypse happened. Apocalypse happened. And there's zones that were at one point military run that as civilization falls apart, they kind of just become these little feudal states that are still run by what would be the military. It's called Fedra.
Yeah. Can we talk about that for a second? Yeah. I really like that juxtaposition between Fedra and who are seen as the rebels, the Fireflies.
Yeah.
What do you stand
like
on
the
that?
Established old version of the government that now is just the military dictators, really.
And it's so interesting because you get very specific points of view on that from different characters. And the whole way through, you're kind of hearing us Fedra as if they're like these oppressive...
fascist style.
Effectively fascist, literally.
People say that.
Yeah, they do. And they're stealing the food and stuff and keeping it for themselves. But you get different sides to the story. Like, you know, the Fireflies, they're not that great themselves.
Yeah, they adequately keep it the viewer on a pretty...
Totally.
off kilter. Like you don't really know who's right. And because you see good in both, you see bad in both.
Totally.
And the reality is, Fedra can't just be a military. They need people to do jobs.
Exactly.
So there is some semblance of society. It's not a great society. A lot of food stamps. A lot of open, barrel
Your
fires.
favorite. Yeah,
a lot of stuff you might see in Southside Chicago.
Singing around the barrel fire?
Including the fungi. Zombies.
God.
The bath salts are real over there.
Fungi.
Yeah, all I'm saying is it's not that different from a project.
Sure.
But it's still not outside of the QZ, which is a war zone of zombies. So you pick and you choose your battles there.
And we'll get to tones and themes, but I think one thing I'd like to talk about with you is the stakes of this. So from my perspective, it does a really, really amazing job of managing to sort of fashion this really personal, intimate story. But it's on the backdrop of this like saving the world narrative. It's fascinating to me.
Yeah, and it's the saving the world narrative that like really doesn't get talked about.
Totally.
It's almost like they don't believe it. They don't talk about it, so you don't believe it.
Exactly.
And you kind of forget that that's the point.
Yeah.
Most of the time you're watching this show. So pretty much the opposite of every Marvel.
Yeah. Maybe why we liked it so much.
Yeah, it could be.
Well, the whole show effectively, it details the journey of Joel and Ellie trying to get all the way across the States to get Ellie to a research facility where they can do some tests on her and see, they believe, find a cure from her blood, they believe, to maybe save the world, effectively, like we were talking about there. So what would be really interesting to talk about then is a little bit about performances. Like we can come back to Joel and Ellie. What do you think of the surrounding cast? I mentioned it was really well cast before.
I thought for the most part there wasn't a bad actor in the show.
Totally.
I'm trying to think if I could find one.
Well, I can think of a few standouts, and there's a couple I've just jotted down.
One that's bad. I'm saying, there definitely are standouts.
Totally.
Yeah.
I from my perspective, I don't think there's a single bad person. Yeah. I don't think there was a single scene where I was ever taken out of the immersion of this show. Like, not one. So let's talk about that. Yeah. So a couple of standouts. We talked about episode 3 before, and we'll probably go a bit more depth into this before we get into non-spoilers because it's so early on. The episode with Nick Hoffman as Bill and Murray Bartlett as Frank. So the episode where they take, and this is a really nice sidebar into, they do devolve from the game in a lot of times. Like they certainly keep to the structure of the game, but episodes like episode 3, where they deep dive these two random characters, one who's only named in the game and one who we briefly see for like a split second. And they create this beautiful love story between these two guys who, one's let's be honest, is an Armageddon. What do you say? What does Joe Rogan call it? He says a prepper. That's it. He's an Armageddon prepper. And a dude who's just trying to escape the projects. And it's fascinating and beautiful. Yeah. What did you think of that episode?
Oh, look, I mean, I think at a high level, what I'd say is like amazing adaptation, right?
Totally.
From a video game, which I mean, like
nice to see the differences.
They're getting a lot of credit for that, but like, I mean, this game was a movie.
Oh, totally.
Like it's like the most easily adaptable game. But my point is, amazing adaptation. Plenty of people have fucked it up for less, right? Like,
well, that's my point here. Like, they could have fucked up by trying to do different things, but they really just built the world out more.
And they did make bold adaptive choices.
Bold.
That, like the one you're talking about.
There's a big one in spoilers as well.
The bold adaptive choices, like you're talking about, that I would argue are what they made them all at the right times.
Yep.
Which is like when you want, when you're making an adaptation, you need to change something for, and they changed it for the venue with the medium, that they were on.
Totally.
And that this is one of them, right? If you think about the game, so they've got this great, basically same-sex love story that you spend almost 50 minutes with these characters who you didn't know about. You'd heard them referenced before. You'll never see them again in the rest of the show, and you are all the better for it.
It's amazing.
It's a great story.
Totally.
It's a great,
weirdly uplifting in this creepy,
it's uplifting after
shitty
2
world.
Episodes of pretty intense, downtrodden.
Yeah, totally.
You basically spoilers for the first episode. You see Joel's daughter die pre-pandemic. We see kind of life before
murdered, literally.
Yeah, murdered. We see life by which is a good, I guess, indicator of where the show's going, by a human.
Yep.
By the people that are supposed to be
caring for
you, and that you'd expect to be protecting you in a zombie apocalypse, the military in this case. So you see life before the apocalypse, you see it after, and on the 2 or 3 hours of television before this episode, it is really dark
Totally.
and sad and not fun. And then you get this great uplifting love story, which was very needed. It was an injection we needed at that moment.
It did end like horribly sadly though. Like the ending.
Tragically,
sorry,
but not
tragically.
sad.
Got it.
I would say.
Apologies.
I mean, I don't know if you would agree. You can,
no.
you can
I mean, and like this is going way off topic, but like I'm not a crier at all. Like I barely cry when incredibly personal, tragic things happen to me, and I was
almost nightly in the shower.
I was pretty.
I just needed to get that out.
That's called a climax. That's a different thing.
Yeah,
but I honestly, I was literally like sobbing at this episode. It was like beautiful and heartbreaking.
Yeah.
One thing I did want to call out while we're talking about performances then is the villains. Now, when we say villains, it's really hard because this, like any let's not say zombie, like any apocalyptic type show, it's all about, the humans are worse than the monsters and all that stuff. Capitalism's bad, yada, yada.
Like any fungal infection.
Totally.
The itching's always
it's pretty
makes
bad,
it worse.
but it's not as bad as a human that put it there. There's so many innuendos in the show. But all of the mini villains they come across. So it's not like Monster of the Week. It's not like every week there's a different person they have to beat, like The Walking Dead. It's sort of like they pick 2 or 3 key episodes to really focus in on 1 or 2 villains. And there's a couple. Kathleen, I really wanted to call out those episodes where she is... So Kathleen, I really liked. So I only know it's Melanie...
she's in a lot of stuff.
Linsky, and she's the crazy person from 2.5 Men who stalks Charlie Sheen all the time. That's how I know her.
She's also in Yellow Jackets.
Got it.
She's in a lot of stuff, actually.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't like her as much. She's like, actually...
As a bad guy?
I would say I just didn't believe it.
Really? Because I totally
why
bought
are these
it.
guys following this chick?
Oh, I see
what is
you
she
mean.
bringing to the table here?
I see what you mean. But she's the drive. She's the determination. And I think it was her... It was almost like all the light had been snuffed out of her. She was worse. Yeah, she was worse than the infected in some respects.
For sure.
So I loved those episodes, and it was like this chase to get Henry and Sam, which is like directly from the game, and their story also ends really tragically. And the other one I wanted to call out was Scott Shepherd's David. So that was one of the later episodes. I think it's like episode 7, maybe.
I think it's 8.
Oh, it might be 8.
He's in 7 and 8.
Oh my god, that's such a good that whole story arc, and it's really small as well. But wow, he's a bad bloke.
He's just adequately creepy, isn't he?
Yeah, and he was great in that. Really, so all the villains. Sorry, my point was, I think they did the villains a lot of justice by giving them enough time to grow as characters. Like Kathleen, we talked about. You get moments with her where she is in her childhood home, having like a real deep heart-to-heart with her first general. It's super interesting and really compelling. But then you're like, is she a villain? Because all she wants to do is get the guy who got her brother killed. So it's like, these are characters you can empathize with on a really deep level.
For sure. I mean, like...
Except for the pedo guy. That's I'm not empathizing with that guy.
Well, it got pedo, didn't it? It didn't start pedo. No. But it went there.
Oh, it really went there.
Eventually.
Wow, it went there.
Yeah.
Not cool.
No.
Not cool, David. Oh, big time. With his head.
Yeah.
So, sorry, talk to me about the villains very quickly before we move on.
Look, I think the villains in this, in this story are as much, there's like obvious, like antagonistic characters that are villains. And then there's like the villain inside you, which is like kind of getting into themes, which I'll save it. But what is The Last of Us? Yeah. When all hell breaks loose, is The Last of Us humane, or is The Last of Us, what some of these villains are?
Totally.
And you see Joel and Ellie kind of struggle with the villain inside them many times throughout.
Absolutely. Expand on that. That's so interesting. Yeah.
So
give me more on that. Because
Marlene, every single one, really.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And I just said that it's really interesting that Joel learns so much from all his experiences. But at the end of the day, he is who he is. You know what I mean? Like he is that person, no matter how much he learns. It's really,
and well, it's. I mean, we'll talk about it in spoilers, but it's a bit ironic as well. His whole arc, I think, is it's like filled with irony.
Totally. Let's get to that in spoilers. Yeah. Talk to me about pacing then. What did you
look? I think for a show that, when you think about, like, for a zombie show that has like maybe
not zombie
3 to 4 episodes.
Apparently they outlawed the word zombie on set.
Well, I'm not on their set.
How wanky is that?
You guys like come like you are a zombie show.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
You're a really cool take on a zombie show.
Sure.
Like your zombies aren't zombies. I get it. They're different, but they're zombies.
Yeah, I mean, it's all a metaphor for capitalism at the end of the day. Carry on.
They are zombies with a hive mind.
Exactly.
A mass infection of the population. This whole story, we've seen it before.
Pacing,
but what I'll say is with the pacing, there's only like 3 to 4 episodes with zombies.
That's
and
gonna
and there's
come
like, but what I'm kind of countering that with like maybe 45 minutes max of screen time with zombies, if not
I'd
less.
say less. Yeah,
like probably 20 to 30.
Yeah,
and it's still like I didn't mind the pacing all that much. I thought overall it was better for the pacing.
Yeah, totally.
And you always knew something was they just couldn't catch a break.
Yeah,
and you knew something was always coming, which kept you on the edge of your seat when things were looking calm. I would argue that episode 7 was kind of where it got a little like too slow for me because we went from we had 2 episodes. We had episode 6, which was awesome. You get to see, I don't know. Hold on,
it's all right.
Is Joel and Tommy finding each other? Spoilers.
Sure. No, it's fine.
Okay. You get to see Joel and
Finding
Tommy reunite, like his brother. So you finally see like this human side of him that he hasn't quite given to Ellie fully yet at that point in the story. And there's all this decompression around that. It's a pretty chill episode overall. And then you go straight into kind of another episode where there's a bit of a battle, a little bit of a fight where he gets injured, but it's like 30 seconds straight into Left 4 Dead, the game, the if you know what
in the mall.
In the mall. It's like a prequel for the game. And that episode's really slow. So there was like a 3-episode arc where the 7 and 8, or was it 6 and 7? I was kind of like, can you speed it up? But beyond that, overall,
interestingly,
didn't mind.
7 was one of the standouts for me. I mean, it's probably not going to make my top 3, but like in terms of everything outside of that, it's up there. Like it's
a good episode. I just mean when you pair it with the last 3, there needed to be a zombie interaction or 2 in between to make that pacing perfect. But overall, like, good.
Let's wait till we get to action to talk a little bit more about that. The missing zombies, because I do have some interesting points about it, and it did gripe me quite a lot actually how few infected we saw in this show in total. Like you say, it was minimal. For me, the pacing, I think it was slow, but it was the intention was to effectively have that Jaws effect of like it's this lingering anxiety in the background that like even if you don't see the infected, they're there. And the pacing reflects that in that no matter how slow the show gets or how little you see these creatures, your heart rate's still a little bit up, right? You're still a little bit like, oh, they could be anywhere. Like, don't scream too hard, Ellie. Don't be so fucking loud.
She consistently does.
With your stupid puns. Cinematography and world building then. Let's go into that a little bit. So I really like the ideology differences between the Fireflies and Fedra in terms of the world building. And I felt it set a really nice stage for everything that went around it. Like, do they want to help the Fireflies? Are they really doing it for themselves? Like, tell me more.
Yeah, I think that you definitely get a sense for this is a world where you can't really trust anyone, and trusting someone is like the only way you can be disappointed. And you get that feeling from Joel and Tess right away in their relationship when you see them for the
He looks
first
like he
2
disappoints
episodes.
her every day.
And she's not shocked.
Totally.
It's accepted disappointment. It's like, this is the way the world is, and we both are going to operate this way. So look, I think that they did a really good job of setting that tone and that feeling in the world.
Yeah.
I thought, overall, this did feel like slower in building like the culture and the I guess dynamics around the infected and how you deal with them. Like they didn't deal with them enough for that to be as front of mind as it is in the game.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'd say that part was like, it was there, but it was slow. But the design, the fact that this is a world that was literally like left behind within 2 days. You see, like, just things there that were just like
the plane,
like the plane that's just sitting in the field, like the clothes, like the "be back in 5 minutes" sign, like these things were like someone just put that there, and then they did not know and that really puts you in, I guess, a place for sure.
Yeah,
I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think they did a great job of matching the game, but also at the same time doing their own spin on it. Like, it wasn't like, yes, it was like very similar, but at the same time, it had their own heart to it almost. And I really liked.
I thought it was exactly like the game.
It was totally. But
like it's not like a bad
in a good
thing.
way. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
There was literally moments where I was like, "This is the same start to the level."
And I
played the game like 3 times, so I loved it. Like, you could tell I have a survival horror thing horror thing, over the shoulder shooter, like it's my thing. I played this so many times. There was multiple times where I'm like, that's the start of this level.
Yeah,
like, I remember
totally.
It. Yeah,
I like the sparseness of the world as well. Like when we talk about the slow pacing, that it's methodical and that it is slow. It's because they're walking across the majority of the US, which would take fucking forever. So it's like, I get it. Yeah, they did at one point. They got a car at one point. The thing that we'll talk about that in a minute, but like I like legitimately found it like the world they built terrifying and exhilarating at the same time, which are the two things I want from a TV show.
Yeah,
effectively.
Sure.
So I mentioned action a minute ago, and the word I wrote for the action in this is that it's surgical. Now, what I mean by that is, and this isn't a spoiler for the end of the show. Yeah, it's that it is really precise in when it uses action and what it uses it for. It feels like they do a really great job of building anxiety. And I mentioned this a moment ago, but like almost to an anticlimax. So like you've got this constant dread that there might be an infected there, or you even see an infected that doesn't do anything. And you just like the whole time your anxiety's up, your heart's going. And I just think in terms of action, when they do have to fight, so like in the second episode, when they have to fight the way out of the museum, for example, when you see Tess like sacrifice herself, it just gets you so much more like in the feels. It's great.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think I like that it's used sparingly rather than over the top. But I guess I was expecting a bit more. But
me too.
I think it's like, okay, they're gonna probably do a bunch. This is probably gonna be a 3-season show.
They reckon that season 2 is gonna be split into two parts.
Yeah, I reckon that this is a 3-season show, max 4.
Oh, don't do 4. That's too many.
Well, there's another game they're gonna make.
They will, but I reckon give it time.
Well, they can because they need her to age up.
Exactly.
But my point is, like, it's a max 3 or 4 season show, so they realize, I think, that 4 seasons of lots of zombies, you just become The Walking Dead.
Totally.
You know?
Totally.
So they're probably cognizant of that.
What did you think of? And I mean, surgical. I mean, I use that word not lightly.
No, I agree with it.
Do you think that aptly sums up your feelings?
Yeah, for sure. I think that the action was super targeted, and they did it and it was also just like not only like when they did it, it's like why they did it. It was like to kind of show something in Ellie that she hadn't done before and really break the barriers there, or to like have Joel like do something where she sees the side of him that everyone talks about and is excited by it. And so it shows who he really has become, and it shows really what, hey, the dark side of what, you know, her enjoyment of this violence could lead to, which if you play the games, you kind of start to see where I'm going. Yeah. The other side of it is it also shows like the I guess the weakness in him, that he's not what he once was, and what that does to his psyche. Like all the violent parts are generally there to provide character moments.
Interesting.
Very rarely are they spectacally driven.
They do have one spectacally driven episode, which I'd like to get to. And you made a really nice point about Joel there, and you know his motivations, and like he obviously sees Ellie's cargo at the beginning, and I feel like there's a really particular point where you see him really starting to care about her. And for me, that was the episode that I was talking about with Henry and Sam, when Kathleen and her whole army effectively are like encroaching on them. They've got them cornered, and Joel's got this like sniper position, and he's ready to pick off a few guys. But then the one real spectacle outside of maybe episode 2 you get is that part where they had, instead of actually killing all of the infected, they just rounded them up and put them underground. And then they all just break out at the same time.
Seems like a very sound policy.
What a great idea that is. Yeah. Incredible. But then you get this insane spectacle of like Joel is like, he has to like snipe off, you know, the infected to stop them getting to Ellie. And then there's obviously this army that's trying to fight back, and you see the overwhelming like waves of the infected. Kind of gave me like that Game of Thrones vibe, you know, when they're at Hardhome and they're all jumping over the edge.
Yeah, no, I was like, very similar.
Totally. Yeah. And it was quite like, because it was dark, and I think that works so well with CGI like this, when it's, you know, like it could be a bit ropey if it was like fully like lit, but it looked so good.
It did look good, and the fire and in the background, it was spectacle, but it was also kind of like, it kind of felt like even that spectacle was like a metaphor for like, this is what happens when you bottle up revenge, right?
Interesting.
And you're Kathleen, you bottle up revenge. And like you don't think about the consequences of your actions, of just being this murderous person in response to a thing, like, and not separating yourself from that and taking something too far. it overflows and
Totally.
and it bites you in the ass, and that was like the physical manifestation of that. I
And
would
they
say.
certainly bit.
And
Was
the
it? They certainly bit
contortionist-
Sam on the leg, never mind the
for
ass.
sure. Yeah, the contortionist zombie was where I thought you were going.
Terrifying. That shit was so
She
weird.
was for sure a contortionist.
Yeah. She was tiny. She was like a child. It was really.
But I mean, like the actor that played it.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
It would have been like some kind of like, yeah.
The thing I wanted to mention, we're basically talking about CGI anyway.
Yeah.
I really like this fact that they actually used a real giraffe for that scene. Like, that's not a CGI giraffe. It's a real one. So good.
Okay.
Love that. Well,
I thought you were gonna like. I really like the fact that they used prosthetics for the clickers, like, or something like that.
I
Like,
like that they use CGI incredibly sparingly. So they used it for like the broader shots, or maybe to beef up, the numbers of the infected in those scenes I mentioned. But things like the clickers, that was all practical. Effectively, we just touched up with CGI.
very, very good.
So good.
Very perfectly.
So
done.
good.
Like a dangerous beauty.
All right, let's talk about tones and themes before we jump into spoilers. What are your tones and themes?
We talked about a few of them, but I think one of the big ones is really like living just isn't enough. Like life without love, is it really worth living? Right. And I think that's literally central to both Joel and Ellie's story, but mainly Joel.
Yeah, nice.
And they're both tied together, but
not literally tied together. That'd be weird.
no, that would be weird.
But David would like that though.
Yeah, David.
I got I just got the it's the classic humans are worse than monsters. We're the worst thing. Capitalism makes us bad, etc. Like it's any zombie.
The
flick,
capitalism
really.
thing is like real, but did you feel that reoccurred beyond the first couple episodes? Kind of felt like it was just. I mean, they definitely had it in episodes like 1 through 3, and then it just kind of fell off the map. There was a couple communist jokes, but
yeah, I think it was more subtle than a lot of zombie movies, shows, etc. It wasn't in your face, was it?
And it was like the grain supply that kind of they kind of indicated like everything's so connected, which isn't necessarily an indictment on capitalism, more just maybe a highlighting of the risk of a globalized society.
I just think zombies in general are just an allegory for that whole money bad. Stop staring at your phone thing. What are your 3 best and 3 worst, DL? We tend to do this before spoilers because we like to give you some reasons before we spoil it for you that maybe you want to see a thing or maybe avoid a thing.
Yeah, I'd say grounded. Well-earned character work. Right?
Yep.
Like it's just that's. If you like that,
I got that too. Joel and Ellie relationship feels earned.
Dude, even just like the fucking episode with Bill and Frank. It's just absurd that they could just we barely have had time with these characters. And they throw third episode in 45 minutes, a gay romance. We'll never see these guys again. And just drop the mic on it. Anyway,
Totally.
So that should show you the other side stories and risks, right? So going off that, they took a bunch of adaptive, risky choices confidently, and they were the right choices, and I guess that's why they did them so confidently, because it worked.
Beautiful.
And then the third one was just how amazingly faithful the show was to the video game, where it could be and where it should have been. And anytime that they needed to make a change, it was the right change, and it was in the vein of, it wasn't like a change that changed the way philosophically the tone or themes of the game. It just added to those themes and those
I totally agree with that. And I think that helped that they had Neil Druckmann, who was the writer of the game, heavily involved in the writing of the show as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
totally. So I always said the Ellie and Joel relationship, felt very earned. I put just the casting in general, especially Pedro. He's a little bit zeitgeisty at the moment, he is it. And I just think he's picking his roles so well. Apparently, because he's getting $600,000 per episode to do The Mandalorian, and they gave him a bit of time off to do something different while they did the Boba Fett show, and he chose this above 3 or 4 other shows. He was apparently Neil Druckmann had reached out to him a bunch of times about wanting to work with him, and this was the one. And it's good choice, really good choice from everyone involved.
Yeah, for sure.
The last one was just I feel this might have done it, DL. I think this may have broken the video game curse.
Could be.
The video game to screen.
I mean, there's not many that you could say have.
Name another one that's this good. I can't think of a single one.
Yeah,
but it
not
really,
this good, no, none.
It really puts your anticipation up for things like God of War, or when they do Horizon Zero Dawn. They're gonna have to fucking nail those.
It's so much harder to do those ones.
So much harder.
Because first of all, it's harder to do a big world like that.
Well, I think
this is an intimate story. It's
I think
made
God of
for the
War,
screen.
if they focus on the newer one, they could. I mean, it's this, right? It's the reluctant father figure. It's so easy. You just put a different spin on it.
I get it, but I just think there's so much more with even that. Like the world you have to build, these gods.
True.
And, like it's just, there's so much more shit to do. And there's a lot of ways to make it cheesy with like, I don't know. I hope they do. They will, I'm sure. But
it's Amazon, so it'll probably be bad, but that's all right. What are your worst?
The worst I had.
I've only got 2.
By the way, did you know that? I think you sent it to me that Pedro Pascal was like taking like Vicodin or Ambien or something to pass out because he was like in London when he got the role. Like,
that's
and he
so
like
good.
was drugged up, like very Joel.
Yeah,
and just like fell asleep and didn't remember that he got it.
He had the conversation saying that he'd got
that's pretty funny.
Very Joel.
My worst would be not enough zombies.
I've got exactly the same one.
Not enough zombies.
I wanted more infected.
Yeah, just a few more.
Just a little
Even
bit.
a couple more stealthy sequences.
Yeah.
Well,
actually, apparently...
Or more flashbacks to zombie craziness in the apocalypse.
Flashbacks.
Who doesn't love flashbacks to D-Day?
Flashback. Who doesn't? Especially when that plane comes down in
that shit was cool.
That was nuts.
We didn't talk enough about the first episode in the build-up. It's
good.
really good.
Just go and watch my YouTube video
really
when I
good.
watch the first episode of. You'll get the gist.
And then my second one would be Kathleen. Kathleen did not do it for me.
Interesting.
I like the concept, but I also just don't like. They did save it a bit in episode 2 with her, where they're like, the reason why is because her brother was super inspiring. But then I thought about it, and like at first I was like, oh, that makes sense. But then I'd be like, well, like if your brother is super inspiring, and then this other person is the complete opposite, what about that inspires you?
I think
like
it
you're
was
not
fear.
family. You're not family with them.
I think it was fear.
He's got the gun. She's walking around with a pistol, not very fit. Like I just like what about her is a value add to this scenario?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
True. Good question.
Does she have access to the guns? Does she have the key? And that's why, like, and she's paid this other guy. She's giving him all the food. Like, give me more to understand. It's not just that she's this big bossy woman. Like,
it's true.
Personality. I don't believe it.
I just felt she was really. I thought the whole role was really well acted, and I just suspended my disbelief of that for that moment.
I personally
struggled.
I struggled, but a lot of people like her.
Yeah, okay.
I've just seen her in enough stuff where she kind of plays the same little. I don't know. She kind of bugs me.
I've only ever seen you in those episodes of 2.5 Men. Mine, as I say, I wanted more infected. The only other one I could think of was, and this is more of a general trope thing with zombie horror, horror kind of in general, apocalyptic stuff, is there's just inconsistencies that just annoy me. Like petrol doesn't keep. Petrol goes off. 20 years later, that petrol wouldn't work in that car. I'm sorry to tell you. No, it goes off. So it's like...
How do you know that?
It's just general knowledge about apocalyptic worlds. That's why Mad Max Fury Road would never work, because none of that petrol would work. It's just a minor thing, really, and it doesn't take you out of disbelief, but at the same time, it just kind of winds me up a little bit that they still lean on these tropes.
Does Diesel?
I'm not entirely sure. That's a very good question. Google it while we're talking. But okay then, DL, before we jump into spoilers, do you want to tell me whether, stupid question as it may be at this point, as we've just trilled about this for an hour now, whether this is better or worse than Aquaman 2018?
Better, obviously.
It's way better. There's no point.
Better.
There's no point in debating this. It's a significantly better show.
I agree.
Let's jump into spoilers. You ready for a bit of spoilers?
I am.
So, I've kind of themed these a little bit around a couple of different bits. So, to start with, I wanted to talk a bit about the virus and how it got out, because that's a pretty big spoiler, and what that means for Ellie and her backstory. And then we can talk a little bit about the ending, and then just some miscellaneous bits. How does that sound?
I'm game. There's a couple other things I think that we could talk about as well.
Sweet.
Some theories that were confirmed.
Love that. Yeah, I think that's going to be some of the Ellie stuff too.
Yeah.
So the virus effectively got into society and infected flour products such as bread. Now, this was a big fan theory from the games.
Was it actually?
Yeah, apparently it was, yeah.
Was there some indicator from the game?
I don't know.
Because I didn't catch that at all.
But it makes sense in terms of how fungus would move. And I think it's such an interesting creative choice. So in the games, the fungus is spread through spores in the air, but in the show as like a stylistic choice to make it a little bit more obvious. They've got like the tendrils that come out of the mouth. I actually kind of preferred that. I thought it just really emphasized, where you got to be looking.
For sure. I think it's like for TV, you kind of want to see, we can't have another show where Pedro Pascal doesn't show his face.
Totally.
The reality though is like, I'd be way more anxious about this if it was just like spores in the air.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, that's scary.
That would mess you up.
Anywhere you
How
go,
could you
just
miss that?
breathe it in.
Big time.
Yeah, so that's kind of less anxiety inducing in a way, but
and the interesting thing I would go on then as we talk about the virus, and what I wanted to talk a bit more about was the confirmed theory that Ellie is immune because her mother was bitten as she was giving birth.
Yes.
Which is kind of fascinating.
It's a cool little concept.
Yeah, it's a bit Blade, isn't it?
Kind of like little Jesus-y.
Yeah, little Blade, Jesus, somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess, I don't know how real the science is there.
Well, no, me neither, but like it would have got into her mother's system just enough. I mean, I guess...
I get the pseudoscience.
Totally.
Yeah.
It is absolutely a sci-fi. But did you like that? They added that in as like... Because apparently the mother in this show is...
She looks like Ellie.
She looked...
Like the game Ellie.
No, she looked like a mix of game Ellie and bloody Bella Ramsey.
It was well cast.
It was good. I think she might be the mocap person for Ellie in the game.
Oh, that makes sense.
Which makes so much sense. She looks just like her. A bit older and the perfect timing.
For sure, that makes sense.
I kind of like that wrinkle added in there for the fans, more or less. But then, let's talk about the ending then. So the ending is just like ripped from the game. And if you go back and listen to our episode, I think it's episode 22 or whatever, we talk in depth about the ending. But like, it's that choice of Joel, right?
Yeah, it's weird that they made like in the game this is usually something you would like in a lot of games you get to choose.
Totally.
And you're forced to do it in the game.
So how do they get there? Can you tell me how I got there?
At the end of the day, they eventually do find the Fireflies. So we should say that they're searching for something to do with this immune child. Well, the reality is the Fireflies were planning on taking her somewhere. They lose them. Long story short, the whole season they're trying to find them again.
Totally.
And they find them eventually in a way where the Fireflies actually get the jump on Ellie and Joel. So Joel wakes up after being knocked out by like a tear gas grenade or something in a hospital.
Good butt to the back of the head.
Yeah, butt to the back of the head. Yeah, in a hospital, cannot see Ellie. They refuse to let him see her after having gone through quite a big father-daughter journey where they were kind of like enemies, kind of one-sided friends, frenemies, and then Joel finally there's a pinnacle episode where he loses Ellie and she almost dies, and he kind of calls her baby girl, and then it's like, okay, he's got a daughter again.
Baby girl.
That's kind of like the arc you miss. But they won't let him see her, and we come to find out that the only way to get this cure is actually to kill her, is to take it out of her brain.
Yeah.
The contraceptive.
You surmise. Yeah. The contraceptive.
Take out the cordyceps and basically kill her, but then be able to replicate it to create vaccines of the kind against this fungus.
And you're effectively given this scene of Terminator
T-800
Joel.
Actually.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
One of the most fun parts of the game.
Totally.
Because you start to get you finally get good weapons as well. And like the last, you get a machine gun,
you got plenty of ammo.
People down, plenty of ammo,
So Joel goes on a one-man mission to save Ellie from this fate. But you then get this juxtaposition in his character. It's like, wait, is he the good guy? Because
it poses a really hard question to answer.
Super
what
hard
would you
question.
do if that was your kid?
Man, that's so hard. Like, she potentially has the cure for mankind, but you lose her. What do you do?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's...
Me and the partner had this conversation.
I think the reality
is the show.
It's her choice. That's the only thing that justifies the actions Joel takes initially, is that she was not given a choice.
Sure.
But as he proceeds to literally
murder everyone.
Yeah. People that did not need to be killed.
Even the doctor.
Even the doctor, without question, without a thought.
Yeah.
It becomes readily apparent that this is a selfish choice, not one done out of righteousness.
Yeah.
And
that's from the game, split from the game.
100% from the game.
The thing we talked about when we talked about the game was the fact that you are given the option. It's like you can just let the surgeons and people go, but I guess in your head, and this is I think what they're trying to play on, and they kind of do a little bit with killing Marlene. Is that the Firefly leader? I've forgotten her name. It's effectively the case of like if he lets them go, like they might come after you. They might bring other people to come after you. So you just end up killing them in the game, and he does.
You're
in
forced
this.
To, yeah,
kind of. Yeah, it's really brutal. He saves Ellie. We're going to put in quotation marks,
and then proceeds to lie to her twice.
Yeah, to her face.
After she doubles down on something's off. Tell me the truth.
And she's got the look about her that's like, I don't believe this guy. He seems a little bit shifty now. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
I like it.
So it's a phenomenal ending.
It's the ending we deserved.
Gray show. Tough choice. Probably got to kill the kid though.
I probably would as well.
Like if we're being honest.
The thing it did expand upon a little bit that I really liked, and we'll get into your ranking in just a moment. I liked the scene just before they get captured again by the Fireflies, where Joel explains why he has the scar on his head and that he tried to kill himself.
Yeah, they got very emo for that whole last 15 minutes. It's such a juxtaposition to the way they interact for the last 7 episodes. So you're like, what has changed, right? Like,
but that's it. That's the point. Like, he has finally opened up to her, and it's
almost too much.
Yeah, to the point it's like almost a different character at that point, and it's weird. And I think Pedro Pascal does a really good job of how to even phrase it. He almost becomes this this happy, smiley,
like a giddy kid again,
like a giddy kid. Like he's like comparing her to his own daughter and stuff. It's almost weird.
It's like he's dealt with his loss.
Yeah, totally.
Through loving again. Yeah.
Make me love again. All right, do you want to rank the episodes? I know you were talking about doing this before.
Yeah, I did. So, like,
remind me what the episodes are.
I'll give you a quick rundown. When you're lost in the darkness, after you get the first episode. So I'm not the ones you obviously know. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, okay.
When you're lost in the darkness, episode 1, right? Episode 2, infected. After escaping the QZ, Joel and Tess clash over Ellie's fate while navigating the ruins of a long abandoned Boston.
And that's where Tess explodes.
That's where boom, boom, boom. Tendrils down the throat.
Yes.
Long time. Episode 3, the famous Bill and
gay rednecks.
Yeah, exactly. Episode 4, this is probably one you forget. Please hold to my hand. After abandoning their truck in Kansas City, this is when they crash. Joel and Ellie attempt to escape without drawing the attention of a vindictive rebel leader in Kathleen. So this is when she sees him first kill someone, but she actually saves him.
So that's the one where they're effectively trying to find somewhere to hide to get out of the city. I really like that episode.
Yes, good episode. Almost all of these are. Endure and survive. While attempting to evade the rebels, Joel and Ellie cross paths with the most wanted man in Kansas City. That's Sam and his brother. I forget his brother's name.
And remind me, apologies, does Sam die at the end of that episode?
No, that is the next one.
At the beginning of the next one? Or the end of the next one?
Wait, maybe I'm wrong.
So what's the next episode? Sorry.
No, you're right. Endure and survive is the one where he dies at the end. That is the spectacle episode.
Sam dies.
That is Endure and survive. That is the spectacle episode.
Yeah.
Kin. After ignoring the advice of locals, Joel and Ellie descend deeper into dangerous territory in search of the Fireflies and Tommy, and they find Tommy, and he is not in need of saving. He is actually thriving in Jacksonville. So that is that episode.
It's a nice episode.
Left Behind. That is the one where we get a prequel into Ellie's life and how she loses her friend. Episode I forget which one it is. 8.
Yep.
When we are in need, Ellie crosses paths with eventual group of survivors. This is David. Good old David.
Yeah.
Creepy old David.
Pedo David.
And then the season finale, Look for the Light. This is the episode we just finished discussing where Ellie is almost killed and instead Joel goes Terminator.
So just recap that very quickly. And episode 1 is the virus. Episode 2, Tess explodes. 3, gay rednecks. 4, they crash and they try and hide.
Yeah.
Episode 5 is Kathleen, where Sam dies. Episode 6 is Finding Tommy. Episode 7 is Ellie's past. Episode 8 is David, pedo. And episode 9 is the finale.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So
what's your top 3?
Rank these bad boys for me. Are we just going to do a top 3 or are you going to rank them all?
I've ranked them all.
Okay.
If you'd like to rank them all, you can, and I will go through my ranking right now.
You go. You hit me with yours first. Tell me the number of the episode and then tell me.
Episode 7, Left Behind.
Yes.
Ranks 9 for me.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. Not because it's terrible, just because it's not as good.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was the 3rd episode in a slow group of episodes, so I was ready for some speed and I got more slowness. My 8th ranking is Please Hold to My Hand, which is again a really good episode, but it's the one.
What number was that?
That is episode 3, episode 4, where they abandon their truck in Kansas City.
They crash and hide. Yeah.
They crash and hide. Episode 4 is my 8th rank. And then my 7th rank would be Look for the Light with the season finale. When the season finale is episode 7, you know you've had some earned television. So that would be
for sure.
My rank 7. And then rank 6 is When We Are in Need. Ellie crosses paths with the eventual group of desires. David, pedo. That is my sixth ranked episode. And honestly, it's a phenomenal episode.
It is.
So I look at it at 6. I'm like, did I make a mistake? But then I get to my 5th ranked episode, and it's the Joel and Tess scene when Joel gets infected and goes boom boom.
Joel gets. You mean Tess gets infected?
Tess gets infected and goes boom boom. And it's just I really like the tone this set for the man that Joel's been the last 20 years.
Okay.
So that's why it's so high for me.
Yeah.
When she says, I never asked you to feel the way I felt. It's like, that's their relationship. It's disappointment.
Yeah, totally.
Anyway.
I disappoint my partner every day.
we all get it. Episode 1 is my rank 4 when you're lost in the darkness. I really thought the first episode set the tone.
It's amazing.
How do you do such a good job introducing his daughter, who's such a pivotal part, who's only going to be in the show for not even a full episode, and also introducing the other characters.
Totally agree.
Lastly, episode 3 is my third ranked. So
third ranked.
Yeah,
Wowza.
It's top 3.
Gay rednecks. I can't.
Gay rednecks is top 3.
I'll stop saying that eventually.
It is top 3.
That's okay.
And episode 2. Rank 2 would be Kin, which is episode 6. And that is
Finding Tommy.
Finding Tommy. I just thought this had so many pinnacle moments for so many characters. It's the payoff to a lot of the character work. And
I think we're going to disagree on that one.
I mean, you look at. Let me give my. We'll disagree.
I'll
give my pitch to that.
It's fine for us to disagree occasionally.
No, but I think I think I'll convince you. So I want to.
I don't think you will.
Episode 1, my rank is Endure and Survive, which is the spectacle episode, which also includes one of the most heartfelt scenes you'll see in television.
The Sam turn, and then the whole. So the best part about that is when Henry turns a gun on himself.
Yeah,
as terrifying and heartbreaking as that is,
and the acting by Ellie and Joel in all those moments, and the epilogue.
I think
of that
they've
episode.
got some friends at last.
Yeah, it's just a very, very. I remember in the game when that happened, I was like, "Fuck, this is a drag of a game."
Wow.
I thought I was finally going to get a little bit of a moment,
a break.
Nope.
All right, I'll quickly run you down mine then. So. The one you've put as your number 2 or whatever it is. So Finding Tommy. No, episode 6 is my number 9.
That's your number 9?
Yep. Episode
that
7,
is shocking.
Ellie's Past. That's my number 8. The finale is my number 7, but not because I dislike it, just because I think they're a better episode.
Same. We're very similar so far, except for your very, very bad episode, ranked 9.
So I've put The Escape from Kathleen at 6, the one where Sam dies. I think that should be higher. Sorry. No, I forgot these the wrong way around. So the one where they crash the car, that's my 6. And then the Escape from Kathleen is 5. 4 is the one where Tess explodes because I really like the spectacle of that. 3 is the David episode. Wanted it higher, couldn't do it because I think episode 1 is just so pinnacle TV. It's supposed to be 2 episodes. They mashed it into 1, and they brought everything to that episode.
What rank did you give that one?
Number 2.
Okay.
So the first episode is my second, and then obviously I told you I was literally weeping at this episode. It's the Bill and Frank episode.
You can't have it as number 1.
It's my number 1 episode.
It can't.
It's my favorite of the show.
It can't be.
It is. It just is. Simple.
I just think it's too isolated. It's great isolated TV, but in a show about character arcs that lasted literally hours, it's hard for me to pick that one.
It's that's just how I feel.
And you can't. I can't really argue.
You don't make me weep every week, DL. So I don't put you.
I weep every night, so it doesn't matter. I just can't imagine how you put Kin as episode 9. Think about the monologue Joel goes on. I'm failing in my sleep. Are you kidding me, bro? So there's that. There's the fuzzy feeling of reuniting with your brother, and he's thriving. There's the Ellie Joel conversation. Don't try and tell me I'll be happier and safer with someone else when the truth is I'll be more scared. Pinnacle TV. And then you also I
can give you 8 other episode reasons why it's not the best.
You get the turn where they start to where they're all in. And family now.
And I appreciate your POV on that. Mine is just that I'm not saying that's a bad episode. Of a 9.1 IMDb rated show, it's the worst episode. That's all right. I think it's fine to be the worst episode in that. Quickly then.
I just don't agree, but it's
DL,
okay. We can't.
Would you like a little bit of true or false trivia?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So, from the game, we touched on this before. True or false, DL? 4 actors took up roles in the TV show. Is that true or is that false?
Marlene, the voice actor for Joel, he dies via butcher's knife.
Yep.
One that I can't think. The voice actor for Abby, which is actually from The Last of Us Part 2, is in this.
Right.
In the
That's
season
not
finale.
part of this. Oh, from the first game, I should have prefaced.
So you're only saying the first game?
Just from the first
then
game.
Then not her. There's one more that I can't think of. There's 3. Is that what you said?
My apologies, right. No, it's 5. So let's I'll tell you what it is. I'll go through them very quickly. I've not done this very well for myself.
Yeah.
So Marlene reprises her role from the game.
Yeah.
Ashley Johnson, who played Ellie in the games, played Anna, who's her mum.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that one. So I got that one wrong.
Troy Baker,
Yep.
who played Joel in the games, plays James in the show. We have who runs with David.
There's the Tommy
dude.
actor as well.
Yeah, we can literally get there. So Jeffrey Pierce, Joel's brother, plays Tommy in the games and in the show. And Laura Bailey made a cameo in the first season finale as Firefly Nurse. She originated in the first game with a portrayal of Abby, and it's in the sequels. So she was Abby. She was the one you're mentioning. My bad, I got that wrong. So, I mean, between us, we were both right and wrong. Great.
Love that.
True or false, DL?
Yes.
In November 2016, Sony had an option for the rights to make a movie of The Last of Us, which they wanted to be directed by Sam Raimi. Is that true or false?
Sounds true.
It is true. And apparently, actress Maisie Williams expressed her enthusiasm about playing Ellie, which I find kind of interesting. I like her for that role, but I just think old mate knocks it out of the park.
She'd be good for that role.
I think so too. She might have aged out of it a little bit by now, but that's a conversation for a different day. True or false, TL? There were a number of actors considered for the role of Tommy before Gabriel Luna was cast. True or false? Nicholas Costa Waldau, who plays old mate Jaime Lannister in Game of Thrones, was among those selected.
You mean like shortlisted?
He was shortlisted. He was among the final contestants.
Look, I mean, it makes sense by look if you don't have Pedro, so I just don't think that's true. I think that's false. And also, he does not do a good English accent.
It's true, he doesn't, but he was one of the final ones, alongside Chris Pratt and Chris Pine. Could you imagine Chris Pine being the second, like barely even a character? He's like the main guy. I just think
it's there's no way with once Pedro was cast,
totally.
Yeah, but no, I couldn't imagine it. I would say he also what's his name is too old.
Who? Costa Waldau.
Lannister.
I'd say so too. So final then, true or false, TL? Casting for this took place in person, ironically. Even though a pandemic was raging outside.
True.
It's not as false. It all was done via Zoom calls, which, makes sense, right?
Yeah, that would be funny, though.
I guess ultimately this was it's one of my favorite ever TV shows.
Yeah,
I don't know how it couldn't be.
It's up there, man.
Way up there. Do you want to give us a little bit of correspondence, DL?
So, yes, I do have some correspondence. Stainsy said he watched Creed.
Old mate, regular contributor Dick Staines.
Yes, he can't help himself.
Oh my God.
He's always contributing. And
Thank you,
we
Dick
love to give
Staines.
him his shout outs. Watch Creed 3. Cracking film.
Oh, damn.
Cracking film. Favorite film this year, although we did watch it after Tim Tatsu fight that could have warmed us up. Yeah, I don't know if I said that fighter's name. I'm not a what is it?
Not a fighting guy. UFC?
Yeah. But
I don't know what he's in.
But fair enough. The first one was really good.
I mean,
we'll have to watch it.
If I remember correctly, Mr. Staines didn't mind Ant-Man, but wasn't thrilled by it.
He was heavily critical.
Heavily critical? Wowza. All right. Because I believe from our correspondence, he's a pretty big MCU guy. So thank you, Dick Staines. We appreciate when you send over your feedback on these movies. We'll have to check out Creed 3 at some point.
We will. I have to watch the second one, too.
Me too. Maybe
start there.
That'll be our thing to watch next week. Cool. Well, I forgot to mention, if you guys do want to hit us up at podcastassemble on Instagram or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com.
Well, you did that well.
Or I got it right the first time.
Thank you.
Or www.podcastassemble@gmail.com. No, that's wrong. www.podcastassemble.com. All our contact details are there. Send us memes, all the usual stuff. You can find any of our content. It's all there, baby. You can find us.
It is.
We did get, and this is an old favorite deal. We got a couple of comments on our most recent YouTube video, which, I mean, it's a little bit like clickbaity. Mm-hmm. The video is called "What If Joel Dies at the End of Season 1 of The Last of Us." So it's a little clickbaity. I was trying to get a few people clicking through.
I actually thought they might do it.
I thought so too. And we got one which is from Taria, who just says, "Laughs in gamer." Not entirely sure what that means, but we actually got a pretty good one from Mishumai, who says, "What if he never dies?" Plot twist.
Counterpoint.
Like never, as in he lives literally forever. That would be even more of a plot twist to the adaptation versus the games. But yeah, to serve the story and plot, it's most impactful if he dies regardless of timing, which I think is pretty much right.
The thing I would say to that is wishful thinking.
I really thought he'd die at the end of this. I genuinely
like
did.
him not dying. Wishful thinking.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah, that's what many people wish would happen, but it won't.
My thought process was that I think the second season would be way more impactful if it was all about an Ellie revenge story all the way through.
I think that's what the third season's gonna become.
So you reckon it'll... Okay, that's interesting. Oh, that's not actually a bad point. Maybe, they save it for the end of the second season.
Because they have to introduce Abby and stuff.
That's very true.
It can't be this weird timeline thing that they did. They're not going to do that in the show. They're going to make it more linear.
Interesting. All good points.
Yeah.
I like where your head's at. Thank you, guys. We love it when you hit us up. DL, one more time, where can they find us? And do you want to wrap up the show?
They can find us at Podcast Assemble
on Instagram.
Or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. And really, really quickly, just pass on the pod. Give us a 5-star review. Thank you.
Love it when you do. Thank you, guys.
We really love it. I don't know if we have any reviews yet, but if we did,
I haven't looked.
We'd love more. Thank you to friend of the show, Mr. Matthew Bliss of Blissery.fm for editing the episode. There was quite a bit to edit this episode. If you are a budding podcaster and are thinking of hiring a podcast engineer to edit your podcast, let him know at info@blissery.fm or visit blissery.fm for more information about Madness podcasting services. How fast can I say that? Will I ever beat that record?
Phone voice is phenomenal, by the way.
Maybe not. I think I just topped out there. You can also listen to his video game news podcast, The Dead Drop, 10-minute episodes twice a week. Going to be some RE4 chat there coming out tomorrow.
It's happening. It's coming. You should try and jump on his episode.
I probably should.
Give him a shout. Hit him up. Matt, hit us up.
Matt, if you need a little
insider insight
lore, man. Very few people understand the storyline of this godforsaken
weird
saga
series
better than me.
Hey, if
I don't even understand
if you need lore about Game of Thrones or RE, DL's your man. Everything else, he's probably not going to show
useless. Anyway, thank you, Tommy.
Thank you everyone for listening. We really appreciate it, guys. If you stuck to this point, fucking congratulations.
It's a good thing.
Thank you, DL.
Love it. Thank you, Tommy.
Tally ho.
Tally ho.